Florida State is going to look a little bit different than they did in 2023, in large part because they got a lot of new personnel. Quarterback's new. Keon Coleman's gone to the league. You lost Jared Fisk to the league. You lost, Jared Verse and Braden Fisk to the league. There's a lot of new pieces. 17 transfers into Florida State, 26 transfers out. I'll say it again, 83rd in returning production in all of college football. And so anytime you see that returning production number, for context, they were number 1 in returning production all of college football a season ago, it's fair to ask the question, how is this going to look? Like, how is this style going to look for them? We'll talk about it right now. Before we do that, though, Florida State fans, college football fans, period, make sure you are subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. It's college football every single day. Want y'all a part of it. Want you a part of this college football sicko community. And the best way to do that is by making sure you are subscribed. So we appreciate y'all in advance for doing that. Let's start on the defensive side of the football, because I think that's the most straightforward. Yes, the faces change. Yes, the personnel changes. I'm telling you, man, the identity of who they are, similar to what we said about Michigan, that doesn't change. Like, I think that it's a less settled, less established roster overall, but I think it's just as talented. The way they talk about this team right now is like, this might be the most talented team Mike Norvell's ever had. And even though you lose a Jared Verse and a Braden Fisk, their calling card will still be the defensive line. Like, Patrick Payton will step up, I believe, in a massive way this season for the Noles. Marvin Jones Jr. transferring in from Georgia, former 5-star cat, playing edge for you. Darrell Jackson, you didn't really get to see last year. Didn't really get to see him last year. Wasn't able to be on the field for him. This year, he will. They talk about him like they talk about aliens. Like, he's a different cat up front for them. You win games up front. And as much as they're breaking in new pieces, like Shaheem Brown's a guy that they're really excited about playing safety for them. He's not a new piece, but he's a guy they feel like is really elevating during fall camp. As much as you're breaking in new pieces and as much as they're like gelling defensively, let's be real, like, Florida State doesn't really need to be all the way on the same page defensively until October 5th when they play Clemson. Like, maybe the week before when you play SMU at SMU, you got to be on your P's and Q's with how good of a OC Rhett Lashley is and how good of a quarterback I think Preston Stone is out there for them in Dallas. But it might take a second for them to look like a dominant defense. They're going to have a really high floor outfit from the jump. You get that week 0 game against Georgia Tech. That'll be a good test, but I'm telling you, by the time you play Clemson, October 5th, and they come to see you in Tallahassee, like, Florida State will be ready. That defense will be back to their old ways. So the offense is really, I think, what takes up most of the oxygen, and deservedly so. Like, they are going to have a new quarterback in DJU, and that's been the main talking point. You lose a Johnny Wilson. You lose a Jaheim Bell. You lose a Keon Coleman. All guys that were massive, massive assets for you a season ago. However, with new personnel, I believe, comes a new scheme. And when I say scheme, that sounds like they're just totally changing the offense. I think what I mean by that more so is the approach. Like Mike Norvell, I think with this offense, conservative is kind of an ugly word. I think they're just going to lean into their strengths. Like, look at what they have on this roster. Y'all, they're 3 deep at running back. Roydell Williams transferring in from Alabama, he can carry the mail. Keziah Holmes can carry the mail. All right, so they have dudes now in that room that they feel real good about. They feel great about the offensive line. And oh, by the way, you got a quarterback too in DJU who I've been saying for the better part of the last 2 years, like, let that dude run the football. That's a big body quarterback. You want to tackle him, who's like 230, 240? You want to tackle him on 4th and 1 on quarterback power? We get an extra blocker? I don't think so. So just because they may not put the ball in the air quite as much as they did a season ago doesn't mean they're not capable of doing that. I think football is a game where you want to get it to your best players. I think a lot of Florida State's best players are in that running back room. Now, with that being said, anytime you're able to run the football effectively, what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, hey, defense, you tired of getting beat yet? You're tired of having us to take a sledgehammer to your front 7? Add one more in there. See what happens. Looks like you have to because we're just running power, running inside zone, running counter, and you can't do anything about it. What are you going to do? When they do add that extra defender into the box, which will inevitably happen to try and stop Florida State's run game, that's when you count on the experience of DJU. That's when you count on the quarterback development from a Mike Norvell. We saw it with Jordan Travis. I think we'll see it with DJU. That's where you count on, in a perfect world, the radio in the helmet, benefiting DJU as well. That's where you go to a Kyle Morlock over the middle. That's where you go to a Malik Benson, another Bama transfer that Florida State got. So I think the difference for them will be, like, if you're watching it on television, like aesthetically, it may not be 50-50 run to pass like it was last year. It might be a lot closer to 55 to 57% run. I think that's pretty realistic. However, Mike Norvell, even though he's an offensive guy, sometimes you have offensive coaches who are like very bent on playing their style of football. Hey, we want to get it out in space. We want to score 60. Like Mike Norvell, I promise you, he'd be cool doing that. But I think Mike Norvell, over aesthetics and stats and how it looks, I think he's worried about winning. And I think winning football for Florida State in 2024 will be pound the freaking rock, DJU, make the throws when you have to, run the ball when we call it for you, and let's roll. Let's go win a lot of football games. That is going to be the formula. Play great defense, run the football, don't turn it over, and play clean. And I'll tell you this, I think in most scenarios that will be more than good enough for them to be really successful in 2024. So the Noles, they'll look different, new personnel, but like defensively, they're still going to be the bully on the block. Until somebody knocks them off, they are still going to be the bully on the block. And the fact they get that ramp up until October when they play Clemson and get a real good like roster talent test, they're going to be in good shape. And then offensively, take care of the football, punch them in the mouth, DJU, distribute the football. Mike Norvell, we've seen it now. We've seen it from him multiple times. When Jordan Travis went down, it was like, okay, well, let's take care of the football. Let's play good defense. Let's score 24th, get out of here with a win. Let's score, what was it? I mean, they were in the teens against Louisville. Got a third-string quarterback. Let's lean into what we do best. Let's go win the ACC. And so I think Mike Norvell has proven he is capable and willing to shapeshift. He's not one of these offensive gurus that's like, I got to throw the football downfield, otherwise I won't be able to sleep well at night. That's not him. He cares about W's. I think he could care less about points per game. So Florida State, they'll be fun to watch this year, man. New look Noles, but regardless, I think you'll kind of have that same vibe from them in terms of how they operate defensively. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.